Personal, for my personal?
You may, yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I think we're all here. Would you like to call the order?
Rachel?
Roll.
Present. Marcia's here, Eric's here, Glenn Dallas is here, Priscilla, you're here, and so we are all accounted for, except for Ned.
Right.
Won't be back.
Have you heard from Ned? Will he be back in May?
I believe he'll be back for May.
Good.
Before we begin, I want to say my husband is a commissioner, but that will not influence
Who's your husband?
Van Mills. But he doesn't influence me in anything. Poor man.
He influences me
Does he?
negatively.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
You all have your minutes now. We've gotten the minutes straightened out. You read them?
Yes.
All right. I hear a motion to approve the minutes for January.
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, how about the minutes for March?
So moved.
Moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So both minutes are approved. So- Is there any old business? No, okay. I thought you said yes. New business. Ms. Lingo?
So I just go down the record, this is a administrative appeal, but for the purposes of establishing a fee in lieu of mitigation, if you should grant it. As the agenda indicates, the purpose of this meeting is to conduct an administrative appeal hearing pursuant to the Comprehensive Tree Ordinance, Chapter 253 of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach. It's appeal hearing number 0319-02, requested by Mike Firetti of Agave Restaurant on behalf of James Matthews of 232 LLC, owner of the property located at 230 Rehoboth Avenue, and is pursuant to Section 253-36 of the Code, and pertains to a determination of a fee in lieu of mitigation for 8 trees. The city arborist, Liz Lingo, will give her report to start.
I'd like to note that the appeal hearing number is really 0419-01. That was my mistake when I typed the agenda.
No problem. 0419-01.
Yes.
Thanks.
We okay to proceed?
Sure.
Okay. The following is the report of the city arborist with regard to the above referenced appeal that is to be heard before the commission on Monday, April 22nd, 2019. It's since been rescheduled to today, Friday, April 26, 2019. A tree removal application was submitted February 1st, 2019 to remove 8 trees from the vacant lot at 230 Rehoboth Avenue. The tree species and diameters are as follows: 20-inch cedar, 18-inch oak, 14-inch cherry, 17-inch maple, and 4 hollies at 5, 15, 18, and 19 inches. The hollies and cedar require mitigation, which totals 77 inches, or approximately 26 trees. As it is a commercial lot with no natural area, there is no location to plant the required trees. As such, I recommend that the commission grant the applicant a fee in lieu of mitigation. The Parks and Shade Tree Commission has the sole authority to grant a fee in lieu of mitigation. 253-36 Administrative Appeals 1, fee in lieu of mitigation. A fee in lieu of mitigation may be granted only by the Park and Shade Tree Commission through the appeals process and upon a recommendation from the city arborist. Before granting a fee in lieu of mitigation, the applicant must demonstrate that the replacement of trees on the project site is not a viable option because meeting the requirements of this article would result in undue hardship, that all reasonable alternatives relevant to protection and mitigation have been exhausted, and that granting a fee in lieu of mitigation will not adversely impact the intent and purposes of these regulations.
Would like to speak?
Any questions?
No questions?
You say that 8 trees have to be mitigated?
The hollies and the cedar, so the 20-inch cedar and the 4 hollies.
5 trees.
8 trees removed, 5 of them were requiring mitigation.
And this is a commercial lot? that
Yes,
can build lot line to,
yes, complete coverage. So by that, it would be a hardship to require them to retain green space to keep trees.
Excuse me for a minute. You asked if I had the same thing. Glenn, can I ask a question?
You'll get, yeah, you'll get an
Oh, I'll get a
opportunity.
chance?
You're gonna have a chance to
Okay,
present
I
your
just
case,
wanna
and
You're
then,
next.
I think it's appropriate that Ms. Mills recuses herself from this.
but
And
before,
that's what I would ask for, because if not, I'm gonna have to withdraw our application at this time. I think it's only fair.
so just for a moment, so it's appropriate that he ask before you go any further, because she's already given her report, and you're starting to ask questions now. So, the question is, do you want to take a moment and consult with me on this before we go forward? Or do you feel that you can make a decision? I mean, you've already said what you're going to say, you don't,
I think it's only fair.
He's
that
made the request and you
Mr.
can-
Coons recused himself, the mayor himself, and I had no idea that you were Mr. Mills' wife or relation, so I think it's only fair in this regard. And you all can take your time, we can come back next month, but I came out of respect to say thank you for convening today. There's no animosity, but I just think it's the right thing to do, Glenn.
well, let's not, don't withdraw the application yet. Let's see if she wants to make a determination. If she chooses to go forward, you can withdraw your application. I mean, you're not prejudicing yourself yet. So do you want to have a moment with me, or do you feel confident you can make a decision without consulting with me?
I don't understand why I would need to recuse myself.
I'm not going to give legal advice in
public?
here. So if you want to,
All right.
consult with me, we can ask the chair to recess for a moment, and we'll do
In
that.
my opinion, I'd be more than happy to give it to you.
I'll meet with Glenn.
Can we take a 10-minute recess? We on? Are you ready to go, Madam Chair? Yes. So I have conferred with Marcia, and not that she does not believe that she's incapable of independently considering this application. However, because the applicant feels that there's a possibility that he will not have an impartial trier of fact and an impartial body, she is deciding to recuse. Okay, so are you done? Are you okay with that? Right.
If they have any more questions, I think we had a couple of hands
Okay.
up still.
Yes,
Are you going to be here, or do you want me to get you after? the dinner,
till-
or you? I'm going home. Okay, all right, thanks. Sure. Stay dry. It is so wet out there. Awful. I sat in the car waiting a minute to come in. Right.
Yeah.
so Ms. Lingo, I wanted to know if you could explain the chart a little bit on the trees proposed for removal, and then the mitigation required, it's 77 inches, parentheses, 25.7 trees.
Yes, so basically, the trees listed on the chart are all the trees that were on the lot. It should be noted, if you have the site plan, quite a few shrubs are listed, so those are not counted. They're not counted against the applicant. They can remove those without a permit, with no penalty. But the trees all listed there are being removed, all in the footprint of the new restaurant. The 4 hollies and the 1 cedar all require mitigation, so that adds up to 77 inches. You guys base your fee in lieu of mitigation off of planting a 3-inch tree, so 77 divided by 3 is just shy of 26 trees.
Shy of how many trees?
25.7 trees.
No more questions?
Good, okay. Yep.
Is it my turn? Okay. Can we put the dumpsters in the trees? That would be my first question. Then we all solve everything, right? Okay, I'm going to just read a prepared statement, but I do want to say thank you for coming here today. I know that there was a little snafu with the public notice, and we appreciate y'all getting here today. This request relates to an unimproved lot at 230 Rehoboth Avenue, as you know. It's zoned C1 Central Commercial. We're planning on constructing a nearly 10,000 square foot structure upon the property, along with paved walkway between the structure and the currently existing Summer House restaurant. 8 trees need to be removed from the site in order to construct the commercial structure, particularly a restaurant. As mentioned before, the property is zoned C1. Due to its commercial zoning and permitted and intended use, the entire property will consist of impervious structure, the building itself, and paved walkway between the proposed building and the Summer House restaurant. Accordingly, the only way to construct the building is to remove all of the trees which currently exist on the property, which I'm not fond of, believe me, I'm a tree planter, but it's something we have to do. Simply put, and in accordance with the code, the trees prevent the reasonable development of the lot. Moreover, there is no space for replacement trees upon the lot. Replacement trees on the site is not viable and would result in an undue hardship. In other words, because of the permitted use and the size of the structure to be built upon the lot and its impervious nature, trees cannot be planted upon the lot. There are no alternatives to locating trees upon the property because we're using all of it. Further, the regulations, as I understand them, do not require any minimum tree density for a commercially zoned lot with a commercial structure located upon it. On October 22nd, 2018, this commission heard an appeal to determine a fee in lieu of mitigation by the owner of 237 Rehoboth Avenue, nearly almost across the street from our proposed location. During that appeal, it was argued that since the property was zoned commercial, the owner should not be required to pay a fee in lieu of mitigation. While one tree with a 3-inch caliber was planted on the site, the commission voted unanimously that there would be no fee in lieu of mitigation for the remaining 31 inches of caliber. Here again, there is no location for replacement trees. The C1 zoning permits the full site to be impervious, arguably similar to your decision October 22nd, 2018 for 237 Rehoboth Avenue. Since this is a commercial property, there should be no requirement to pay a fee in lieu of mitigation. Rather, the simple removal of the tree should be permitted without a fee, and that would be our request. Thank you.
Anybody have anything to say? No?
I have a few questions for the applicant. Since 230, you mentioned 237, Rehoboth the Cross,
I don't
right?
even know where it is.
Right, but, and maybe the arborist could speak to that as well. Since I'm familiar with the property, but I don't recall every proceeding I've been through. Well, let's see what Ms. Lingo has to say.
I can talk about 237 as well as a couple of
How
other.
it compares or contrasts.
So with 237, actually the tree was dead. So it was not his, he didn't want it to die. It wasn't for new construction. I think more fair comparison would probably be 48 Wilmington, which was a recent case. So that would probably, he cleared the lot, same thing. Cleared the lot in order to put up a new commercial building, as well as a residential unit. So he had a minimum density requirement, but
And where did we fall on that one, if you can remind me?
you charged him a fee in lieu of mitigation and it was reduced, but Glenn would have to tell you what it was, $250 maybe a tree. But I believe, and city solicitor would have to speak to this as well, that the commission, probably only the chair was here at this time, set a price limit, right, at 5 and 10,000. I'm not sure if it applied to commercial, if it was stated residential only at that time. It was before I even started working here, more than.
We didn't make any difference between the
Okay, yeah, I think if I recall it correctly, it was a max
Right, I
being
understand. Ms. Mack.
of 5,000 per 5,000 square feet and a max overall of 10. So if the lot was oversized, it could be 10. But like I said, that was 5 years ago.
2014. So in 2014, for the benefit of the applicant as well, in 2014, this body considered what would be an appropriate fee for each mitigation tree that was required. In the minutes of that read as follows. The consensus of the commission members was to adopt its own policy to use the mitigation written in section 253-33 of the proposed tree ordinance. For trees being removed, the quantity of replacement trees shall be 1 if the tree is less than 12 inches caliper. 1 replacement tree is required. First, if the tree is less than 12 inches caliper, 1 replacement tree is required. Second, if the tree is 12 inches to 24 inches caliper, 2 replacement trees will be required. 3, if the tree is 24 inches to 36 inches caliper, 3 replacement trees will be required. And 4, if the tree is 36 inches or more caliper, 4 replacement trees will be required. The fee in lieu of mitigation would be $500 for each replacement tree. The cap on the fee should be $5,000 for a 5,000 square foot lot, $10,000 for a 10,000 square foot lot. So that's in 2014, that was the decision of this body as it pertains to.
got that from the planning commission. Remember they do that?
I remember they gave, that's right, they had proposals to revise the,
Nobody's ever done anything about it.
but it's never happened.
We decided we hadn't do that.
So can we just revisit that case that we did recently? I think it was, I know 48, the tree was dead.
48, no, 237 Rehoboth, the tree,
48.
yeah, 48, they were alive, or mostly alive at least.
But we reduced the amount of the mitigation.
Yeah, I think the city solicitor would better speak to the actual fee in lieu, but I believe it was somewhere around 250 per
I
tree.
don't have it in my,
Okay.
in these notes. I don't know if Ann has the minutes handy.
Property.
But even if we had, in this case, at 4,999 square feet of the lot, just under 5,000, even if it was 250, and you're saying 25 trees, I'm going to say 25, rather than round up to 26, you're still looking about $6,000, but you're capped at 5 anyway.
Yeah,
in any
so
case. So
it
then-
would be significantly lower anyways.
Yes, exactly.
And I,
money, we understand that.
yeah.
Yeah, with everything that we've been through, we don't want to do anything. So
Right.
that's your decision. We've already been through an excessive hardship with this city. So, I mean, you have no idea. So we're not really inclined to spend a penny. So, but that's why we're here, just to see, and this could be the icing on the cake. But I understand your all's position. It's not the end of the world. And again, I appreciate y'all coming here. And Liz, let me ask you a question. Why it was reduced to 8 trees though, correct?
I'm sorry, what now?
Someone told me that you all kindly reduced it to 8 trees or something?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, someone reduced it from, yeah, it was reduced.
Well, your application, it had all kinds of shrubs being marked as trees. So we
I
don't,
think, is that the 25 this gentleman's talking about? Because
I
it's
don't
really not.
I think under the species,
know
you
what
see the chart, maybe you have a copy, maybe you don't.
yes, copy was
Yeah.
provided.
There's 8 trees listed that exist on the property, but they have certain caliper diameters.
Right.
And we calculate mitigation based on a 3-inch diameter, so you're all add them up to come up with the total
Well,
inches divided by 3. and you
only
come up-
s-
Has a caliber?
No.
No, as I stated previously, the shrubs, despite you guys counting them, I did not count them. Yes, and then only 5 out of the 8 trees require mitigation. So the, I believe it was a cherry, hold on.
There's a
Oak, cherry,
and
and maple did not.
Do you understand? Do you understand? So
we're
here's the
talking
thing.
about
So you guys submitted an application, had a whole bunch of trees and shrubs on it.
Broadpoint did.
Yeah, whatever the number was, Liz took the arborist took a look at it and
Yep.
said, all of these shrubs don't count as trees. So those are wiped off the table. What was left that do count as trees are 8 trees. They're listed in this table as a cedar, an oak, a cherry, 1, 2, 3, 4 hollies, and a maple. But of those, the oak, the cherry, and the maple don't count either because their caliper was small enough that they don't count. So what's left is 5 trees that add up to 77 inches of caliper.
Let me clarify that the 3 that don't require mitigation still, quote unquote, count as trees and
Right.
still require a permit for sure.
Yes.
But there would be, if those were the only 3 trees they were removing, and the only 3 trees in the lot, we wouldn't be here.
They get added into the total.
Yeah, they don't get added into that 77 inches, so it's,
You would have to take them all out, unfortunately. All
Right.
the trees.
Because you need pretty much the entire footprint.
Well, you're going to take them
Right,
all out.
right, I got it.
But you're down to 5 trees that count for purposes of mitigation.
yes.
And those 5 trees add up to 77 inches of caliper, and that's what they have to decide what would.
That makes sense.
Do we have the notes from 237? Do you know what we did there?
When?
Do we have the notes from 237? Because I think we did do a reduction for
You're
the
talking about the minutes
trees.
on October 22nd? Oh, I'm sorry,
From the-
because I had.
No, 237 was
Yeah.
the one across with the dead tree, that's different.
So I think that is the one that you're talking about, the one, the
I have the
230.
minutes. Do you want to see those?
From 237?
It was October, yes, ma'am. 237 Rehoboth Avenue. It was October 22nd, 2018.
Don't mind, I don't have them with me. I ran out without my book, I'm sorry, it was raining.
It would be helpful for all 3 of you to hear them. I'm happy to read them if you would like to hear them as well.
No, I need the testimony, that's.
Okay.
Here's the mitigation, remaining caliper, but it doesn't say the amount. I don't see the amount. Hold on, I'll let you look at it. I just don't see the amount
Okay.
on 3-inch.
There were would not be a mitigation fee for the remaining caliper. So Ned Kesmodal, so at this hearing, Ned Kesmodal made a motion seconded by Marcia Maldies to replace the dead tree with one tree deemed appropriate by the city arborist, and that there would not be mitigation or a fee for the remaining caliper. So it was required, so one tree came down. It was required that a appropriate tree that the arborist determined to be appropriate replace it, and that there would not be any mitigation fee for the remaining amount of caliper above and beyond, so whatever that caliper tree that came down, it may say here. So on September 20, a tree removal permit was issued to remove one 31-inch caliper tree, 31 inches of mitigation, requiring 31 inches of mitigation, one tree and one tree for minimum density. There was room for the one required tree to be planted, but there was not sufficient room for an additional 31 inches of tree caliper. City arborist's recommendation was that a fee in lieu of mitigation be granted for 31 inches of mitigation, provided that one tree for minimum density was planted. So it was 31 inches of caliper being dealt with at that time. So one replacement tree was planted, probably was there a 3-inch caliper tree, 5-inch?
It has to be 3, but they haven't planted it yet because they have a year.
Okay. So one tree was planted, the remaining 31 inches of caliper that would have required a mitigation fee, this body determined that no fee would be required for that caliper.
So in this case, there is no room,
you for this.
right, on the property at all for even a 3-inch caliper tree, right?
No, I believe everything is going to be building and sidewalk as the applicant stated. I'd say the other in 237, there was some green space.
Right.
And it, like I said, the pine, it backs up to our city parking lot. So I literally watched it die for like 3 years. So kind of knew it was coming.
So,
So I mean, from my perspective, I don't know that I feel good about. Okay, from my perspective, I mean, I think we have a situation here where the entire lot has to be filled. You have to remove the trees, right, to build the project. And we have, some cases here from the past that we have made some exceptions and some concessions, on what we charge. So I'd like to consider that as a group.
I'd also like to make the comment, I can appreciate your comments about, about all that goes into the planning and the production of documents and the fees. And it's a jurisdiction as all jurisdictions, there's processes. And we're certainly sensitive that it's frustrating. We certainly stand by our employees and elected officials that set the policies, and we're here because they have put their trust in us in our opinions on rendering judgments in these situations. But I think what I really want to say to you as the applicant is we understand your frustrations and the money that goes into it. Oh, no, we do, but we also have a job to do, and there's rules, regulations, and precedents that we have to follow. And so with that in mind, we do encourage, as the entire city really truly does, businesses, you're entitled to build the business. We want your business here. And we want to make it happen. So we weigh that against the duties that we are seated with. So I do not feel comfortable requiring a fee for 25.7 trees. We do have the case, again, which does not fit like two perfect pieces that you talked about, 237, where one tree was mitigated by a tree without a fee. But I would like to perhaps take a little bit of a reach there and say, I think we should levy the fee in lieu at one tree, $500, the equivalent of $500, and render that as our judgment here today. That's the motion.
That's a motion.
our motion.
I second that.
Now you have an opportunity to discuss it if you want to. Any further?
Just everything leading up to this and the fact that it's a business coming to town, he doesn't have any place to
but-
plant any other trees.
But for the record,
So-
other businesses watching this, other individuals,
No,
we
understood.
consider every case on a case-by-case individual basis. And we have that latitude for judgment in the law, so, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Well, I'm going to call for the vote. You want to make your motion again?
That we charge $500 as one tree fee in lieu of mitigation, and that the remaining caliper be waived or forgiven, whatever we.
Second.
Rachel?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
Appreciate that. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Please don't take this the wrong way. In light of everything that we've been through, starting on December 21st, can I 100% rely on what was just voted on?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can,
yes.
unequivocally.
He will issue, I mean, ultimately, she has to issue a permit. She's standing right here and has heard the,
I've heard that before, too. I've heard about permits and licenses, and we have to be able
Is
to
there anything
rely on
else
what
you
the
need?
city says.
Is there anything else you need from them to?
So just so you're aware of the process, the
Yes.
tree permit, as with every other building permit that goes through, is issued with the building permit. So when the building inspector issues construction permit, you will come in and pick up both at the same time, provided that the $500 fee has been already paid. And the city will send you a invoice for that, correct? Yes. City will send you an invoice for that. So as soon as you pay that and get the building plans approved, we're fine on my end. There's nothing else that I will need from you.
I appreciate that. Now, let me ask another question. And I don't know who this is directed at, so I'll address it to everyone. Because of the massive delays caused for whatever reason, which I'm not even gonna say, would it be possible, because when we were here first, we were told we could clear that lot prior to any of this happening? We were told. We were told a lot of things, and we relied upon that. Now,
Yeah,
here's
I
all
can't
I'm
speak to
asking.
that.
Since these nice people have done something that I think is very acceptable, and I appreciate it, whose ability is it? Because my faith to deliver a building permit in a timely manner is severely hampered. I don't have a lot of faith in that right now, for a lot of reasons which I will not go into. Could we, are you the person, is this board the person, or is Glenn, or whoever? Could we get a waiver where we could, and before you answer yes or no, I'm gonna tell you why I asked this. Because you all, right here, believe it or not, have the key to if Agave comes to Rehoboth or relocates to Route 1. And I'm not gonna go into anything further. But if you let us clear this lot first, without the building permit, that will send a clear message to myself and my partner that Rehoboth really does want us here. And it would possibly, and I don't want to give away any position that we may take in the future, but it would go a long way with us reconsidering coming to Rehoboth. So the ask is this, and I'm not asking for anything right now. First, I would want this decision today made in writing and sent to me. It could be in public venue, whatever. I've seen that before. Doesn't mean a hill of beans to me. I want it in writing from your office, number one. Number two, if you all would grant us the permission on a waiver basis to clear that lot prior to getting the building permit. And I don't even know if that's something you can do or willing to do, or if it's in your purview, but that would go a long way, Glenn. It really would.
It's something that this body can't do under the present code, and I think the reason that both permits are issued collectively is they go hand in hand. The reason that there's an allowance to remove the trees is based upon an assumption that a new structure is going to go there. If the building permit for some reason isn't issued and the lot gets cleared ahead of time, then the two interlocking pieces didn't actually
Why were
work that
we
way.
told that we could do that back in October of 2018?
I don't know, and I wasn't there, obviously, but
Four witnesses that witnessed it, including Sharon Lynn was there, Don Molina was there, and Womack was there. We were told we could do that prior to. So there's another scenario where the city of Rehoboth says one thing and they do something else. So you have to appreciate our position, Glenn. You have to. I'm sorry.
I do. But I don't know why or what was said and wasn't
Well,
there.
we do.
What I will do is we will take that request
Okay,
to
fair enough.
the city manager, and if
Fair
there's something that can be done, it'll come from her office.
Very good. And I thank you very much.
Yes, sir,
for
I understand.
your
This is
time.
all, this is our purview. This is,
And not exactly,
we
but that's, I had to
can't
ask.
address your other.
Right. No, and I understand.
You're a businessman, you had to ask.
But I appreciate everyone's time. And again, I thank you for coming here on a Friday to do this. I really do. And that's why I wanted to just extend my gratitude. So thank you very much. Okay?
Thanks. Have a nice weekend.
All right, thanks, Ann.
As a resident of Rehoboth, we
Well,
want Agave.
Thank you for coming out, but it doesn't look that way, honestly. So thank you very much.
Liz, do you have a report?
No, it didn't make it on the agenda, so next month I'll double up on, I'll give 2 months worth of statistics, so. Okay.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.